Hello YouTube, Dave here again. Welcome back to another Miniature Monday video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the D&D Classic Collection Monsters O through R. This is likely going to be the last one of these types of videos that I do. There's like two sets that I don't own in this collection. I have from A all the way to monsters from the R letter category. But the reason that I ended up buying these was because the store that I went to was selling them for 50% or more than 50% off. For example, this one was $140, but it was still knocked down to $60. So that's, more than half off, and I'm definitely, happy to support, again, one of those businesses in our area. They're pet friendly and everything, so we try to I try to, do what I can with them. So anyway, I thought I'd take a look at this, and it'll be fun to go through. And there are actually a few monsters in this that I've never owned minis for, or I've never owned a painted mini for. I might have some like unpainted, or one may have come in like a board game, but it wasn't painted. So it'd be kind of cool to add these to the collection. So again, we do have the first edition Monster Manual cover art here. The thing, like I said, that kind of bothers me about this series is that not every creature depicted on the box art is actually available through these particular sets. Like there's no Purple Worm, I don't think there's a Manticore, and I know there's no Red Dragon because they don't have any dragons at all in the series. And again, I don't know why they couldn't have just done a singular set that was like just the chromatic dragons, right? 5 dragons, a large size base. I would have bought that regardless of the price, just to have like the different sort of earlier designs of the creatures there. But let's go ahead and take a look inside. So like I said, quite a few things here that I don't really have. So we have the Otyugh Owlbear Pseudo Dragon, Quasit before they gave it wings in 3rd edition, even though it could fly, the Rakshasa, the Remorhaz, the Roper, and the Rust Monster. So this row here, these 3 guys are the only ones that I've actually had other like pre-painted minis of, so like the Roper, the Quasit, and the Owlbear. I do have the Chainmail Otyugh from way back in the day, the metal one, and I do have the plastic one that came with the Wrath of Ashardalon board game, but these will be my first painted ones there. I've never owned a Rust Monster. I really could have used this for Moraz when I was running my Rime of the Frost Maiden D&D 2024 game. And yeah, it's cool to have like the Rakshasa there. So we're going to go ahead and those are the minis inside the box, but we're going to go ahead and take these out. All right, so we've got the minis out of the box there. So we're going to start with the small ones, and we'll see which ones I decide to end on here. But the first one we have is the Quasit, and man, this thing is just absolutely tiny. I don't know how well there. That might be the best look at it that we're gonna get. The paint is surprisingly good, like for such a small mini. Like they've got the purple on the underbelly there. The eyes are red. You can sort of see like the purple in the mouth there. A little spike on the top of its back is painted. Whoops, didn't mean to hit the camera there. Pretty decent job overall for, like, again, it's just such a tiny little guy, but really, really cool. Actually, really cool mini. The other one that I have, I thought I had them out and handy, but I think I actually have some of them upstairs for something else that I was doing. So one of these days I'll do a comparison video with some of like the different miniatures from sort of like different eras or different art styles that I might have. The next one I want to take a look at here is the Pseudo Dragon, which is equally tiny, but it's got like the paint in the eyes there. The teeth are actually painted. The ridges going down its back and its neck. So again, fairly decent paint job. The the portion underneath, like the bottom part of the neck and the underbelly and stuff like that is painted. The hooks on the ends of its wings. So again, pretty decent paint jobs for like the really small minis. These look a lot better than that Sturge mini that I pulled a few years ago. I hate that mini so much, but those are actually really nice looking for being so small. I guess I shouldn't have counted how many there were in this set. So there's 3, 6, yeah, so 8 minis in the set. 8 pre-painted minis for $60 isn't the worst price in the world. These would have been like $6 to $7 unpainted, and the paint jobs probably would have brought them up closer to the $10 mark. So for that amount, you know, Canadian, again, I'm happy with it. Let's take a look at the Remorhaz next. Again, I really hate the white lettering on the clear base, especially when there's light colors underneath. Like, I guess the only thing I can think of when it comes to these clear bases is that they want you to be able to see what's underneath. But there's so much of the mini that's still obscuring the base anyway. Like, I don't see that as really being that important. And if they really insist on doing clear bases, why not black outlines for the letters, just to make it so much easier? But let's take a look at the actual Remorhaz mini here. It's got the giant, like, compound bug eyes there, and the horns coming off there, and I want to say mustache, but I don't know if they're like feelers or, I mean, they're not quite tentacles. You also got the little frills on both sides of the neck there, and then you got quite a few sets of legs. So again, pretty cool looking mini, and one that I've never owned, along with the Pseudo Dragon. One that I do own, but I'm going to go out on a limb and say this is a much cooler looking version of it, is the Roper. And this thing is hollow. I don't, but it does actually make it easier to read. Again, I do have a, right? But yeah, so we got the Roper here. This thing looks really, really cool. It actually looks more like a tree stump than rock, because it looks like it's got like moss and stuff on it there. So it's kind of an interesting, paint job, considering that these are typically like underground dwellers. I probably would have gone with like a gray more so than the brown, but it still looks really cool. Like I said, I love the teeth there, the eye and the tentacles writhing. There is one that I have from the D&D Minis game from 2003, and again, I'm pretty sure that's upstairs. It looks really cool, but it's still trying to hide what its true nature is. So its tentacles are kind of more wrapped around it, and its eye is less obvious, and like the mouth is there, but it's not bright pink like what we have here. So this is, again, just a really cool mini, and actually pretty decent paint job for what these things are. So we got that one. All right, let's take a look at this Rakshasa, because one of the things that I'm interested in seeing... okay. So we got the Rakshasa here. And again, like, cool looking minis, smoking a pipe. I guess you got like the match lit, a really smoky match. And the pipe is lit there. The one issue is the Rakshasa's hands. They are sculpted kind of like normal hands. They're not... So Rakshasas, actually, their hands are like upside down sort of thing. So like instead of like their hand looking like this, it would look like this type of thing. So like their palms would be up. But the mini just kind of looks normal. So I guess maybe it might be hard to convey that in like the miniature form, especially when it's holding something. So like it might just have its hands kind of twisted to look normal. But the actual paint job, again, on the tiger face looks really, really good. I'm just trying to avoid knocking the camera there. But like the lines look really good. The black lines came in really nice. The paint job on like the robe and his clothing it's basic, but it looks good. And yeah, pretty cool overall. Again, I'm not quite sure why it's match. Are these... Okay, the smoke pieces are connected. It's cool, but like, why is the match so smoky? But anyway, there we go. All right, up next, we're going to take a look at this guy. This is the most unique looking owlbear I think I have ever seen. So it's got a very, like, it's like the head kind of looks like the shaved bear. I don't know if you've ever seen like a a bear without any of its fur, but like the face kind of looks like that, but then it's got like the beak with the teeth. That looks really cool. Its tongue is kind of sticking out. You got the feathers over top of some of the fur and kind of mixed throughout. It doesn't look like as clean or as natural as the owlbear does in like modern versions, depictions of it here. It is interesting that it has a super long and feathery tail, because I don't think that's a characteristic of owls or bears, but it does look cool nonetheless. And if you want something that just really just looks kind of unnerving and unsettling and uncanny, that owlbear is the way to go. All right, up next, we've got the rust monster. And I just want to appreciate him here for a moment. But yeah, this guy is pretty cool. So I do have an unpainted rust monster, but I don't have a painted one. And again, this guy just looks awesome. He's got like the green bug eyes that are kind of like looking up and off to the side there, almost like he's trying to give you like the puppy dog eyes as he's eating a longsword. It looks like the hilt is on the ground there, and he's got the blade that he's sort of chewing up, and he's got the little hammerhead tail there. Again, really cool looking paint job. I was looking at like the rust monster. I think one of the things that I kind of want to get back into is the when I was doing like the Through the Ages series on the class differences from edition to edition. I enjoyed that, but it would be kind of cool to look at some of the monsters and how they've changed, because in first edition AD&D, a rust monster was terrifying. If you were a martial character like a fighter, a paladin, or what have you, even a cleric, like you were petrified of these things, because even your magical gear still was likely not going to survive the encounter with it, versus the rust monster nowadays, which takes a very long time to destroy like your armor. I forget how it works for the weapons, but for the armor, whenever it hits your armor, it loses 1 point of protection, and the item isn't destroyed until it loses amount of points of protection equal to what its armor rating would be. So like -10, because I guess they just give you like flat armor classes now. But so I think like you'd have to do 8 points of damage, or hit like full plate 8 times to have it like be destroyed, versus before where one touch was enough. And I think like magic items might have gotten a saving throw, but it was still like really, really like petrifying to go up against one of these things. So it's really cool to finally have a painted version in my collection. And then finally, we're saving the grossest for last. One of my favorite silly monsters. And this is an amazing sculpt and just disgusting looking paint job for it. This is the Otyugh. So yeah, the Otyugh, or Otyugh. I always called it an Otyugh. But you got like the slime and stuff dripping out of its mouth, off its tentacles. It's got like the barbed tentacles there and there, one's holding the bone. And then for its face, like its eyes are stacked on top of each other, and they're part of a third like central tentacle that comes off the top of its head. So it's just a really bizarre creature, but I've always loved these things. I typically will have them, like I designed a second edition AD&D adventure where it was like a light version of like the Caves of Chaos, like very, very, inspired by, but different enough because everybody in the group had played Keep on the Borderlands to death. So I wanted to do something a little bit different, but kind of keep the same spirit. But one of the things that I always try to think about is how some of the more civilized monstrous humanoids might deal with certain things. So I think it was the Hobgoblin Cave, where they actually had an Otyugh there to dispose of their waste. So their waste would sort of go down, like they would have like latrines, and the waste would go down into a pit that this Otyugh was in, and the Otyugh would subsist it because it lives off of sewage, basically. It's the poop monster. And so I would have one of those sort of in there. And but I just always loved the three-legged monster there with the tentacles and like the weird eyes, and Just gross looking depictions there. So that is a really, really cool mini. And overall, like, this is a pretty decent, this might be my favorite set of all the ones that I have so far, except for maybe A through C, because that gave me a Boule and my Beholder, like the AD&D style Beholder, the painted version of that, because I do have some of the unpainted minis of that design, but I haven't done anything with them yet. So I really like that set, but yeah, this one, I think, you know, beyond those few monsters in the A through C set that I never owned before, this one has a pretty large concentration of creatures that I don't have or could use more of, right? Like, it's good to have an extra owlbear, never hurts. You know, it's cool to have an extra roper. It's nice to finally have a Remorez and Rust Monster and Rakshasa. To have a really cool-looking, gross-looking Atyug. And a Pseudo-Dragon, particularly if somebody wants to use them as a familiar. So, really, really cool stuff. Anyway, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And, yeah, like I said, I think this is the end of this series. I don't plan on getting the other 2 sets that are left to pick up unless they are, like, at a really good price. Because I think the next one is, like, S through U or S through V. And then the next one's, like, W through Z. But unless I can find them at these prices, at like the half-off mark, I'm not going to be picking them up. But for the $60 price tag that I paid, this is a set that is very, very much worth that amount of money. 8 pre-painted minis for the $60 is, you know, for ones that are not random and you know what you're getting, is a decent price. So I'm definitely okay with this set and the amount that I paid for, especially considering that the normal price was $140, so, you know, even more than the other ones that I've shown so far. So yeah, once again, thank you all so very much for your time. I appreciate it, and we'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.